Okay, great. Okay, we're at the Mem Gimel on base. It says the pasuk says it says v'chaladim la'yeh b'oil ma'id. No person should be what in the oil ma'id. That we said Yerushalmi afilu oisam shepneim pnei adam. Even malachim not allowed into oil ma'id at that time. So how could it be that where's the kasha from? What? No. Yeah, gotta take this call. Chaim?
How are you?
I'm doing well. Unfortunately, I called you Shalom Lishma. Chaim, my mother fell and hurt her arm. Do you have any eitzah for me now besides taking her to the emergency room?
Well, you should take her to the emergency room to make sure she didn't break anything.
She could have broken something. Maybe are there urgent cares that have X-rays instead of she's too old to wait in the emergency room?
So maybe they'll take that into consideration, but you can't sit on this because these things can be bad. So you got to find someplace. I don't know if urgent cares have it. I don't know what to tell you, but take her and go.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chaim.
Okay.
I think High Care in Borough Park has a
by Bay Parkway. There's an urgent care by that new building also.
Okay. Let's start again. I'm sorry. It'll get a little. Okay. So the Kohen Gadol he shechted the Kohen Gadol shechted the par. And he said he gave it to the person who would stir the blood to ensure that the blood would not coagulate. Fred the Gemara, how can there be a person there? It says, now the Havamina is the person is in the oil moed, with the Kohen Gadol. So Amar Yehuda Tani Shel Heichel, that a person can't be in the Heichel. When he goes from the Heichel to Azara, they would count the steps in the Azara. And the Azara person could be in the Heichel itself. He couldn't be, but in the Azara he could be, because it said, guys, in other words, if it's in the Heichel, no, guys, the Heichel is synonymous with the oil moed. If no person can be in the oil moed, how can you give it to a person to go ahead on and stir the blood? It must be what? It must be that it wasn't in the oil moed. It was in the Azara. That's the part where you come out where the Mizbeach is, right? Where the Mizbeach is, where the rings are. That's where the Roivit over there, the fourth step. There were steps going down, right? The fourth step going down, he would go ahead, right, and start the blood. Tan Rabbanan. I might think that what even Bazara that a person could be Tamad Laima Ba'il Moed. Only the oil Moed Sheba Midbar. Shiloi, how do you know in Shiloi? And how do you know in the base of Migdash Minayin? Tamalayim b'kodesh. L'yeh kol adam b'oil moed, right? B'cholam l'yeh b'oil moed b'voy l'chape b'kodesh. When it comes to b'chape b'kodesh, so ainly elish b'shas haktara. That's only a person can't be the b'shas. He does the haktara, the burning of the k'tairis. B'shas matan domim minayin. How do you know b'shas matan domim? B'shas matan domim minayin. How do you know that? No person can be there when he does the blood applications. Again, he's going to put the blood in the two places, the fnayil lefnim and before the preiches. How do you know he can't be there? Right? When he comes to mechaper and kapara, guys, it's usually with the dam. That's only when he goes in. How do you know that what? Because it says, guys, means when he's coming in to be mechaper. So how do you know when he comes out that no one can be there? I'd say so. Again, I'd say so until he comes out. So until he comes out, no one can be there. Okay. Now we saw earlier, guys, like Shmakam Shat. Do you remember that Tzedaki, he went ahead and he was so happy because he did the Ketairis the way that Tzedaikim do the Ketairis. He did it outside and he went in. And we had two pshatim. Either he died of Mishkun and ended up in a garbage dump, or he got kicked in the head by a malach and he had an egel, the imprint of an egel on his head. We saw The Taisus Yishana frag. How could a malach be there? It says v'chol adam liya ba'oil moyed afilu oisam shepneiim bnei adam, meaning even malachim can't be there. So the Taisus Yishana answered, when can't they be there? That's when you do the avodah correctly. When you don't do the avodah correctly, then they could be there. Then they could be there. Yeah, that's my Torah. That I'm just saying Taisus Yishana. My Torah is kisei cover. That's my Torah. I don't. Yeah. So it's very, your father would love it. Anyway, so it's very geschmack over here, guys, right? That at some point in time the malach is gonna come. Until how long can they be there? Ad Yitziyasa, until he comes out. Once he comes out of the Almayed, then the malachim have an ability to be there. Now it says, the chipa ado bad beisoy bad kol kal yisrael kaparosay. He says he should be mechapa for himself, ubad beisoy and for his house. Uba'ad kol kal Yisrael, kaparasoi, his kapara koidemis comes first. Let's skip the next few words. Kaparasoi koidemis lekaparis achiv hakohanim. His kapara comes before the kapara of his brothers, the kohanim. The kaparis achiv hakohanim kodemis lekapara kol kal Yisrael. So there's a pecking order over here. They want that first himself, then his house, and then the rest of Kal Yisrael. But that's the order of Chif Vado, Uba'ad Beso, Uba'ad Kal Yisrael, dashing the pasuk in that hierarchy, in that order. Okay. Amamar, going back over to Brisa, Ein li'ela b'shas haktara. That I would think only b'shas haktara. What does that mean? That no person can be there only b'shas haktara. Meaning only when he burns the incense, when he burns the ketairis, then the person is not allowed. Then mashma. So my mashma that time. Where do you get where the Brisa know that from? Going back over the Brisa. Eliel b'shas haktara. My mashma amarava v'chiner Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avdimi v'chiner Rabbi Loza amakra v'chiper ba'ado u'ba'ad beso u'ba'ad kol kal Yisrael eza kapara sheshava loy u'la'achav kohanim. Take out the word Beisai. Eza kapara sheshava lo ula'achav kohanim ulachol kal Yisrael. What kapara is equated to all of them? Havi Omer, I would say zeh haktaris haketaris. That's the burning of the ketairis. The chiper ba'ado uba'ad beso uba'ad kal Yisrael. We want something that's a universal kapara. What's a universal kapara? Is the burning of the ketairis, right? For the Gemara, uketairis. Mi mechaperes is the ketairis really mechapra? Is really mechapra? So in the Tani Rav Chananya lamadnu leketairis mechaperes shnemar vayitain es haketairis and by this is by the mice of Kairach vayichaper ala am and they get the ketairis and it was mischaper for the people. Okay, why do we dash that now? Because what did Kairach do? Kairach spoke lashon hara. V'tana Rabbi Yishmael hamak ketairis mechaperes al lashon hara. Yava davar shebechashai. Let the matter that's silent, guys. The ketairis is done quietly, without fanfare, behind in the heichal. The yechaper al ma'aser chashoy and the mechaper for a ma'aser of what of silence. That usually lashon hara is spoken what in silence. Let's see Rashi in this last point. Okay. Lashon hara ki ahi de kairach. Like for example, go up to the top, this first thin line. Ki de kairach lashon hara hu dechsiv atem amisem es amash Hashem ustam lashon hara b'chashay. Ustam lashon hara is b'chashay. So very good. So again, we have this limud of that. The kohen gadol is layavay adam el kodesh layila adam el moyed. No person should be in the oil moyed. And l'chayr, it's very interesting. I Shuli Bornstein spoke out of Gavaldik of Rav Chaim Briska today. Spoke out a really, really tremendous piece of Torah. He says that Rav Meir Shapiro asked, "How come this is not one of the 613 mitzvahs? No person can be allowed." Usually, when you say loy, what does it mean? It's a loy. I say it's a lav. Loy savash going to be loy. Loy seichel. It's loy. Right? The story of our lives. Don't. Right? Story of our lives. Don't do anything. Right? So why do we discount it as one of them? What is kind of one of them? And besides, how can you mitzav a malach? How can you mitzav a malach? No, malach, you can't go. There's no tzivur in a malach. He's not shaykh to Torah like this. Like the Torah's command the malach. Elamah says Chaim Briska. Guys, listen to this, Gavaldik. It's not b'shad, it's a lav. Pshat, it's a psul. In other words, the kohen is doing avodah, right? That's a mitzvah, yeah? If somebody's there, the shasi does the avodah, you know what? It's possible. Like you have different psulim, right? Different psulim. It's possible. It's possible, yeah. Different psulim. So it says it's not a lav. It's a statement. No person should be there. Because if a person's there, it's going to be puzzled. Everyone's going to be puzzled. It's Gavaldic there.
Said before with the thing there with the Kohen Gadol who was
Yeah.
That answers that. That's
We-
right in. You're doing it so he's mouth is let it be.
Yeah, exactly. That's the Taisus Yeshanim he spoke out, right? The Taisus Yeshanim that's exactly the same thing, right? It does fit in very nicely.
Why do you use the Torah for kapara if you have the kaparas for kapara?
They mechaper for different things. Kabbalah is not mechaper. Every carbon is mechaper for a different thing. In general, we saw oil is mechaper for lava and nitak and an asay. Anoshim is mechaper for gazela, meila, mitzvayra, shicha harufa. Achatis is mechaper for chivik karis. It's not universal, right? So each one's mechaper, and this is mechaper for lashon hara. We're going to see B'ez Hashem, and this is if we're really around a long time in Masech Erechim, and the Kachim. That's a 4 or 5 years from now, probably. That the big day kahuna is mechaper. So the big day kahuna for everybody. Yeah, this is maratza. We have different things. Okay, but that's a good question. That's the answer. Okay, geschmack. The Chaim is a geschmack in Paris. It's not. It's a psal. It's a psal. It's psal, guys. Very geschmack. Okay. The next piece of Gemara, I'm going to say it. You're not going to understand it because I don't. So in other words, you can't possibly, I'm not going to, sometimes I say to Gemara, I said, these guys don't know what's going on, but I know what's going on. I'm not so sure I have this erased claw, guys. And certainly not with my frame of mind. I'm not sure. I'll do the best I can, okay? I'll do the best I can. But
This Gemara,
and maybe not. Okay, so if you don't know what's going on, don't feel bad. We're all in the same boat. Okay, now.
This Gemara about the Ketoras and taking care of the Negev that came after.
That was one of the things we saw in Masechta Shabbos that the Malach Hamavis told Moshe Rabbeinu.
Right, and that about a year ago or so, we were all saying we were trying to say Parshas Ketoras to help us out.
Right. It's stops in my gefa. Stops in my gefa. Okay, that was the Roz. That was the secret that the Malach Hamavis gave Moshe Rabbeinu. That can stop in my gefa. Okay, now let's guys as a hakdama, let's identify different locations. Lefnai lefnim means the Kodesh Kodashim. The Heichel means the place where the Mizbeach Hazov and the Menorah and the Shulchan is. And Bein Ulam Mizbeach is outside the antechamber, the Ulam and the Mizbeach. Those are different dargis of Kedusha. The only avodah that's done Lefnai Lefnim is the Ketairos and the putting of the blood on Yom Kippur. That's the only avodah that's done Lefnai Lefnim. Again, burning of Ketairos between the Badei Aron and sprinkling of the dam of the par and the seir of Yom Kippur between the Badei Aron. In addition, there is burning of Ketairos in the Heichel itself. In addition, there's a burning of the Ketairos in the Heichel itself. Okay. Now the question is, this din of Liya Adamoyel Moed, right? The extension, how far does a person have to separate? At which time? In other words, let's start area 1, 2, and 3, starting from Kodesh Kodashim. So if he's in the Kodesh Kodashim, do you have to go out of area 2 and 3, or just area 2? In other words, Le'inyan, this din is Bein Ulam Mizbeach also part of the Oil Mayed or not? Got it? That's the setup. Clearly, if he's in the Kodesh Kodashim area 1, of course you have to go out of area 2. Question is, do you have to go out of area 3? Okay. Taran Hassam. In Masech the Kalim, guys, in the first parak, it's going different miles of Kedusha. It says Yerushalayim is more Kodesh than the rest of the Eretz Yisrael, and Medina and the Har Habayis is more Kodesh Yerushalayim, and the Ezras Nashim is Mokodesh Naharabayas, and Ezras Yisrael is Mokodesh. Ezras Kahanim, progressively working its way up to the Kodesh Kodashim. Good. That's the Mishnah in Masech Kelim. Tan Hasam. Parshim mi beina ulam ul mizbeach b'shas haktara. When they would burn lefnai lefnim pashtus, guys, when they burn in area that's called area 1, you'd have to separate even area 3, guys, even area 3. In other words, working the way out. Amar Rabbi shanu el b'shas haktara de heichal. That's only if you burn in area number 2. Aval b'shas haktara de lefnai lefnim. If you burn in area 1, may heichal parshi from area 2 you separate mi beina ul mizbeach le parshi, but not from 3. The only time you separate from 3 is when you're juxtaposing 2. But if it's from 1 to 3, you don't have to separate. That's the chiddush of Rebbe Lazar. Yeah, that's that I do understand. That's the 1, 2, and 3. That far. When so says Rebbe Lazar to qualify, when do you have to separate from area 3? That's only if you're burning the Aktaris outside. But the Aktaris in area 1, no. Then you only have to separate area 2. You don't have to separate area 3. Masir Rav Adabar Ava, the Imri Law Kidi. Others people say he just learned it, not the name of anyone in particular, or a name of a person named Kadi. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Kishem Sheparshim, Yiben Ulam Mizbeach, B'Shas Haktara, just like you separate between area 3 at the time of the Haktara and the Havamina is on Yom Kippur, Kach Parshim B'Shas Matan Par Koyin Mashiach, Upar Helam Davish El Tzibor, Usiri Abayis Kechavim. These 3 Kabbanis fellas are all considered. These are kabbanis that's going to have their dam placed on the Mizbeach Hazav. All these are called chatas penimios, and they all burnt. They burnt it, okay? So now over here, we're going to say you'd have to, Rabbi Yossi says, just like you pirish from the ulam for the burning of the ketores in area 2, so too you'd separate in area 3 for these 3 things, because these are also done in area number 2, right? Guys, area number 2 has the Mizbeach Hazav. And all these 3 bloods going to be on the Mizbeach Hazav. So just like you separate from area 3 by what? By burning the ketores, so too you separate from area 3 by the bringing of this blood.
When you say area 2, what are you talking about?
The heichal.
Oh, the heichal.
Hesh, give me a picture. Come give it for a second. You'll get it in a second. Yeah, so you get it clear. Area
1.
Area 1,
Right.
2,
Oh, okay.
3.
All right, so that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, okay, now. Ben Ulam Mizbeach, that's area 3. Ben Ulam Mizbeach, outside between the Mizbeach, that's area 3. Now, so that's now. Hare ma maila yesh ben heichel ben ulam Mizbeach. Now, if guys, if you have to separate both, then what chumah is there, right? What chumah is there that the heichel has over the ulam Mizbeach? What is it? What's the mile of area 2 to area 3? An area 2 portion you separate. Bein b'shas haktara. The area number 2 pashtus. You're separating whether you're burning the ketores, ubein shaloi b'shas haktara, or whether you're just putting the dam. In other words, whether you're burning the ketores guys inside, or you're putting the dam inside, you separate from area number what? 2, umibein ulam mizbeach, and from area 3. No, umibein ulam mizbeach ain't portion ela b'shas haktara, only at the time of burning, but not the time of matan dam. Okay, guys, outside. You're going ahead, and what are you doing in area number 1? You're doing 2 things. You're burning ketores, and you're going ahead and you're spritzing. So then you have to go ahead and leave area number 2. What's the difference regarding area number 3? Area number 3, you would only separate for haktara, for burning. You would not separate for what? For putting the dam. So what do you see? Not like Rebbe Lazar. You're separating for area number 3 by burning the ketores in area number 1. You're making a chilik between area 2 and area 3 vis-a-vis the action of burning and giving dam. By dam, you only have to separate from area 2, but not area 3. By haktara in area 1, you're still going to have to separate from area 3, which is keneged Rebbe Lazar. That fears the kasha. Says Gemara. Right, but you would buy mishas matan dam. B'shas Torah Mia Parshi. But if you B'shas Torah, you are separating from area three. My love, B'shas Torah Delafnai Lefnim. Doesn't it mean you're separating from area 3 by burning the Torah in area 1? Kashan Rebbe Laza, B'shmak. Loi, B'shas Torah the Heichel. No, you know when you're separating in area 3, you're separating in area 3 when you're burning in area 2. But area 1, you wouldn't have to separate. Okay? Ihachi. Now you're telling me that what? That you wouldn't separate from the Ulam Mizbeach when you Ihachi. That you don't separate from area 3 when you burn Lifnai Lifnim. Guys, if that's the case. In other words, if it's like Rebbe Laza, good? Right? Hamamayla v'suloi. Ha'ika ha'mayla. What, in other words, what mila do you have of the mila do you have over 2 or 3? Ha'ika ha'mayla, you have this mila. The ila mehechel, area 2, parshi, bein b'shas hectare diday, whether you're burning the ketoris in area 2, bein b'shas haktar d'l'fnai l'fnim, whether you're burning it in area 1. The ilu mi bein ha'ulam mizbeach, area 3, le parshi, ela b'shas haktar d'hechel. You're only going ahead and separating from area number 3 only if you're burning in the heichel. But if you're burning in area what? If you're putting the dam, right? If you're putting the dam, you wouldn't separate. So this is where I'm a little lost. This is where I'm a little lost. Okay, so we're going weiter. So hakatani, it's benichusa. El shebehechel parshin bein b'shas haktara bein shlei b'shas haktara. The heichel in area 2, you're going to separate whether you do the ketoris in 1 or you spritz the dam in 1. U'mivein ulam mizbeach ein parshin, amid beis, and between ulam mizbeach ein parshin, ella b'shas haktara. You only go ahead and separate b'shas haktara, but not b'shas what? Matan dam. Frag the Gemara, I'll give you another milo. V'ikah ha'milo dilu me heichel parshi bein b'kedusha didei bein b'kedusha d'lfnai l'fnim. The heichel you'll separate whether the dam was inside it, right in front of the curtain, or what, or whether it's in front of the Kachei Kedoshim. You guys, again, there's two avodas adam inside the Kachei Kedoshim and inside the Keteris. Either way, from the heichel, you're going to separate from 2. But by the Bein Ulam Mizbeach, guys, you're not going to go ahead and separate from area 2. Only you're not Bein Ulam Mizbeach, area 3. You'll only separate what in area 2, but not in 1. In other words, guys, that's right. We're now going back and doing the same thing with the blood as we did with the Keteris, right? In other words, you have another mila. If you do the spritz in front of the curtain, then you have to separate from area 3. But if you go ahead and do the spritz in area 1, then you don't. Why don't you consider that as a mila? So Amar Arba Shem Prisha Achasi, a general term. That's the one name of Prisha. Einachinami. One the mile when it says Pirish, it has one Shem Prisha. It's one considered one mile or one over the other. Amar Kach portion b'shat. Now going back over Rabbi Yossi said just as you separated for the Par Yom Kippur, you would separate from these other ones as well. The Par Nisrafim and the Koy Mashiach and Helam Davar, which again are done in area number 2. So Amar Kach portion b'shas matan par Koy Mashiach Par Helam Davar Shal Tzibar Usiya Vayis Kechavim Minalan. How do you know this din? How did Rabbi Yossi know this din? How do you know for these 3 karbanis that in fact you're going to go ahead and separate from? That's a dinner prisha. The dinner prisha is only said by Yom Kippur, guys, right? It's only said by Yom Kippur. How do you know a person can be in the area number 3 when it's done over here? How do you know that's it, right? That's what Yossi din. So I'm going to Padis Asya kapara Yom Kippur. We learn that kapara from Yom Kippur. Kapara from Yom Kippur, right? Just like Yom Kippur, you separate this dinner prisha. So too by these karbanis. It gets much easier now. These milas that are counted in the Mishnah, these milas that are counted in the Mishnah in Kalim, going Yerushalayim, Harabayis, so on and so forth. Each one of these milas is a raisa. For hachi gemiri lahu, and it's a halacha l'moshe misinai. It's a halacha l'moshe misinai. In other words, that these degradations that the heichel is more kodesh than the ulam, and Kachei Kedoshim is more kodesh than the heichel. Right? These are the milas that are under discussion, working our way up outside, working our way in. Says the Gemara, these salkedaita with the Rabbanon. If you're going to say it's the Rabbanon, Maishno ben ulam mizbeach. Guys? Why would you not be able to stay, guys? If it's not the Raisa, and what's the reason you can't stay in area 3? Because you might worry you might come to area 2, right? They have Gzera. Says Gemara. Disak that the Rabbanon Maishna ben Mizbeach Dilma Mikri v'Aile Mikula Zaranami Nifashu Dilma Mikri v'Aile. If you're worried, guys, that you're going to come in, why aren't you worried in the whole Azara? In other words, don't be on the Harabais at all. If we're worried about you walking in, so and it's the Rabbanon, so why are you concerned? If you're concerned, so the Rabbanon make a Gezerah. Dilma Mikri v'Aile says Gemara no. Since between the ulam and zbeach, there's nothing that's stopping you from walking directly into the ulam, like minkura milsa, and therefore you're worried you may come in. Azara, keeping the ikim mizbeach achitza in the mafsik, since you have the outside mizbeach, minkura milsa. Okay, so guys, watch. Here's the kasha. You look at your picture, the mizbeach. Here's the mizbeach. Here's ulam mizbeach, and here's what is the ulam, and here's we don't want you going. No person can be in the oil moed, right? No person can be in the oil moed. So now, it must be the Rabbanon, because and what are we worried about? That if you're going to ben ulam mizbeach, you might walk in. For the Gemara, how does the Gemara know it's the Rabbanon, right? How do you know it's actually the Raisa? How do you know it's the Raisa? Because if it's the Rabbanon, they should be guys in the whole Azara that maybe you'll walk in. So the Gemara answers, no, it's the Rabbanon. It's the Rabbanon. By the Ulam Mizbeach, guys, there's nothing to stop you. So therefore, there's no reminder. You'll walk in. Therefore, the Rabbanon made a Gezerah. I had a kasha, they made a Gezerah. Why did they make a Gezerah in the Azara? The Azara, there was a Mizbeach. The Mizbeach will remind you not to walk in. And therefore, you have no Raya. Amar Rabbi says, Rabbi Shmamina, Kedushas Ulam Vehechel Chadim Elsehi. The Kedusha of the Hechel, we had this in Erevin. The Kedusha of the Heichel and the ulam is that T before it, and the Heichel is inside. It's one Kedusha. The Isak that shtei Kedushas ninu, ulam gufa gezera, the ulam itself is a gezera, the nekim v'nigs a gezera. Guys, area number 2, right? Guys, watch. If you're going to tell me area number 2, and the ulam is not part of it, yeah? So why can't you go in the ulam? Gezerah, you may come to number 2, yeah? That will mean area number 3 is Gezerah at the area number Ulam. That'd be Gezerah. 3 to the little T before to area number 2. So it must be that what? Area 2 encompasses not just the straight line, but the T as well. And therefore, since that's one area, it's only one Gezerah. We won't let you go in the Ulam Mizbeach. You may come to go into the Ulam itself. Says the Gemara, you have no Raya. Says the Gemara, in fact, you have no Raya. Like ulam, ubein ulam umizbeach chad kedusha. The ulam and between ulam mizbeach, area 3 and the beginning of the T, that's 1. So it's not a gezerah chad kedusha he. Heichel v'ulam shtei kedushas. So guys, you know why you can't go bein ulam mizbeach, because the ulam and the mizbeach are one place. That's only one gezerah. Right. And in fact, the heichel and the ulam are 2 separate kedushas. Okay, we said that every day he would go ahead, he would use a silver shovel, and he would throw it into gold. And this day he used the golden shovel and he would go in with that. My time, what's the reason that they didn't use a golden shovel to stick in? The Torah goes ahead and has Rachmanis on the Mammon Sheb Yisrael. Again, we spoke out when we did the Kalpi. How come sometimes the Torah says we're mechasa amaman shel Yisrael, and sometimes we say ein anias b'makam ashiris. So when do you say that when you're not? So Yankel Zukkah wanted to taina whether it's part of the avodah or not, and it seemed that the Ritva was saying the same thing. If it's part of the avodah, we don't say ein anias. We say ein anias makam ashiris. If it's not part of the avodah, a crucial part of the avodah, then we say what? Then we say that what that Torah Chasam Shel Yisrael. Now over here, it's a little funny because it's part of the avodah, right? Isn't part of the avodah, right? The shovel with the it's not like the goyrel, which was just to ascertain. Over here, it's a part of the avodah. You're going to go ahead and put on the coals on that. So the Ritva seems to say it could be that when does the Torah say Ein Aniyas B'Malchim Ashir? It says not when you're going to go ahead and destroy it right away, but something that you know for sure is going to be destroyed right away. Then we say a Torah Chasam B'Nei Yisrael. If you take gold, and you stick it in hot boiling coals, it's basically destroying it. Then there's a svara to say we'll say a Torah Chasam B'Nei Yisrael. Yeah, that might be a good shot. We said that why would he not, guys? Why would he not empty it? He would go in with the same shovel. He wouldn't empty one to the other the whole day. Just hang in, Hesh. We didn't get to your part yet. I'm not ignoring you. The silver and the gold, you went from silver to gold, correct? Over here, you didn't go into anything. You went directly in. Why didn't you go ahead and turn it? Says the Gemara, because mishum chulsh to the kohen gadol, because of the weakness of the kohen gadol, he has to work very hard just to alleviate as much as we can. We do. B'chol yom b'shel arba kavim. Each day was 4 kavim, and he turned it into it would spill into 3 kavim. And this day it's 3 kavim, and he would enter. And Rabbi Yossi said usually it's 6 kavim, and he would throw into the 3 kavim. Good. Tana mispazvu loy kav gacholim. If it was on the floor, it was mispazer, a kav of coals. Mechabdam la'ama, they would go ahead and put it, mechabed, they would sweep it into the ama, into the canal. They'd sweep it right in the canal that was there. That would make sense. Guys, if you're carrying a 4 and you're going to a 3, you have an extra kav. So you have a kav on the floor. Why not putting it out? They wait after it went out.
Or just wait till it goes in.
Put it out. You allowed to put a call out on Shabbos? It's Yom Kippur. Well, Yom Kippur then, Shabbos, it's 1:43.
Okay, Taisa Yishanim Estakasha, guys. Look at Mem Hey Amid Aleph. Mem Hey Amid Aleph. Find it, Benji. It's the bottom line, first column. In the guys, you have it. Mechabdin la'ama. You have it. Mem Hey Amid Aleph. Mechabdin la'ama. Then Taimar. V'ka'ova mishum le'sichbe. You're over on the extinguishing. V'amina b'seif pirkin hamorid gacheles al gabe hamizbeach v'kiba chayev. If someone takes a gacheles off the mizbeach and puts it out Yechayev. Yeshloima de l'rova asishapir the patel kaman heicha de natke limitzvase. When since it was a mitzvah, it's not take for a mitzvah, then it would be okay. But afila by the mechayev patel hacha kiven de natke limitzvasa chutzpich l'shoivchay l'pazri ala ritzpa. In other words, you have to do that. Since it's in other words, it seems that b'memela it would go ahead, would fall in. So how can you let it fall in? Since the other 3 are being the other three kavim will be used for a mitzvah, so the one that goes in, you're not just putting it out, you're doing it for a mitzvah. If it goes out, b'shas you do a mitzvah, it's okay. That's the teretz. If it goes out, b'shas a mitzvah, okay. Inami, in other words, he's saying that. How can you go ahead and turn on? Okay. Once it does a mitzvah, once the mitzvah is done, there's no issue of leisifta. Fascinating. Okay, you have to see. There's a lot of lumdis. A lot of lumdis, guys.
It is pikuach nefesh.
What? No, it's not pikuach nefesh. It's not pikuach nefesh. Again, there's a lot of lumdis over there. Once you do the mitzvah, there's no issue of leisifta. Okay. Anyway, getting back to us. Nachamal b'choyim b'shal arba kavim tonin spazloi kav gacholim kav mechabdon la'ama toni chod a kav v'tani idach kabayim. One says 1 kav and one says 2 kavim. Now bishlei mahach the toni kav rabbanon who say you go from 4 to 3. Elahach the toni kavim money loy rabbanon you're going from 4 to 3. Loy Rabbi Yossi who says you're going from 6 to 3. Rabbi Yossi says guys are going from 6 to 3. Some Rav Chisda Rabbi Yishmael b'nei shel Rabbi Yochanan Broikehi. It's the Tana's Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yochanan Broike, the Tanya. Rabbi Yishmael b'nei Rabbi Yochanan Broike Omer b'shel kavayim hoya machnes. Oh, he only went in out with 2. He went in with 2. So what? You go from 4 to 2. Guys, you went from 4 to 2, so you have 2 on the floor. You have 2 on the floor. Rav Ashi Amar Filu Tem Rabbi Yossi v'Hachi Kamar. The Chol Yom Hayachoyte b'Shel Sa Midbarius. There was a Sa Midbarius was a 6th more than what Umar L'Tech Shloishes Kavim Yushalayim. Rashi makes the cheshbon. Guys, Sa Midbarius. Look at Rashi. Sa Midbarius is Shisha Kavim Midbarius. Ukeshabali Yushalayim Haysifu Shtus Alamidos. They added a 6th onto the midah. The last is Shisha Kavim Midbarius. Chamesh Yerushalayim. And the 6 kavim came, in 5 Yerushalayim, you had 6 kavim. So therefore, if you poured a 6 to 3, the spazle kavim Yerushalayim. Because since it's 5, you'll be left over with 2. Each day it was what? Heavy metal, and now today was light. Tana. The wall was thick. And this day was soft. The handle was short. And today it was long. My time, why they make this change in Yom Kippur? That the Zeroy of the Kohen Gadol would help. If you have a longer, guys, right, you have a longer handle, he can go ahead and put it on his arm to help him carry it. Because again, he's working very, very hard. Tana, b'chol yom lo'hoyala ne'ashtik, v'ayoyim hoyala ne'ashtik. Divi Ben Hasagan. Interesting name. Okay, what is a ne'ashtik, guys? Three machlokes. Says Rashi, what's in the ashtik? Tabas b'roisha. It's a dabas at the top. Shemikashka, then mashmiya kol, mishav nisma kol b'voyo. Now, how the Kohen Gadol, right? You have to hear him. How do you usually hear the Kohen Gadol? With the me'il, right? But on Yom Kippur, when he comes inside, he's not wearing the me'il, right? He's only wearing the big day love one. So what would he have? He'd have a ring on the handle, and it would be making noise back and forth on the shovel, making noise back and forth. That's the Rashi. The Rabbeinu Chanel says nishtak is a kisui to that make sure that he doesn't get burnt from the coals, the heat of the coals that had a covering. Tosfos has a much more pragmatic shot. Did you ever touch the lake house, the solid coffee, right? If you have a metal thing and it has hot in it, it's this. Did you ever take a silver becher and wash it out with hot boiling water and have that feeling of it gets hot in a second? How in the world could he possibly go ahead and be carrying in a shovel of gold, right? Holding hot coals. What do you think is going to happen? All the heat's going to go rise up. What? So look at Tosfos. Fascinating Tosfos, guys. Says Tosfos. B'chol yom hayala ne'ashtik pirish Rashi tabas lashmiya kol kidchsiv v'nishma kol b'voyal hakodesh ub'yishalmi garsinon nartik shlei chave. It was a covering that it shouldn't go ahead out. V'nira l'riva ke'ein nartik shel or haya asli saviv yada. They made a nartik of cloth around its handle. Shel matech shel machta lechais ba shlei yichpeh, that he shouldn't go get burnt. Mishum dekol kli matechais. Any heated spoon, guys, if you get part of it, the whole thing gets hot. Why? In other words, it's mashma. Tosfos has a kasha, guys. Tosfos bother. So you're telling me that, guys, it gets heated up, and therefore you need some type of covering. And he's saying only in Yom Kippur you need the covering. You need it all year then, right? So it says Tosfos is very geschmack. The short time it would take him to go ahead, usually you didn't need it. But since it's going to remain, we're going to see this remains on the step while he goes ahead and does the avodah, right? So therefore it's going to be there. It's going to get good and hot. Therefore this day, you needed what? A covering. So, yeah. So what about chatzitza? Tosfos. Okay, what about chatzitza? So continues Tosfos. Uparach b'Yushalmi ve'ena chaytzetz u'meshani kavoi b'misbar. They put the nails into it. In other words, it wasn't like it was part of the kli. This nartik was adhered to it through nails. And then it would be bottled to the kli and be considered part of the kli. Okay, thank you all for listening.
No idea.